lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this, my main channel, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate pre-show and after-show goodness. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal and crypto link in the info box below this video. If you want to watch the show live or join the debate, then click the link in the info box to my second channel, which is called Nathan Oakley. I'm going to pass across to the Hangout, as there is a whole bunch of people in there, and you can enjoy the dulcet tones of whoever's in there while I set up for the second live show.
So, P. Mars, about this public announcement for, what was it, sexual predators. Who do you want to warn about and what?
Well, I put up a video about this social media sex cult on my channel yesterday.
So
You
what?
mean Facebook?
A guy named Nature Boy.
P, why do you feel as though you need to use this kind of wisdom? We'll call it wisdom tongue in cheek. Why do you seem to use this as like some kind of weapon?
Well, I'm into the truth, right? I don't know, and I feel
You're not
like
a
I need
truth
to warn
seeker,
people.
Pete.
But
So you're
I
into,
guess,
so you think that using what you think's juicy, gossiply, like personal information, you think that using that as a weapon in some way is something to do with truth seeking? I call that privacy invasion and probably bullshit in the second context. But even if it is true, what difference is it that somebody's got a personal life to you?
so the video I did yesterday, it showed this social media sex cult where a guy named Nature Boy, he's got
Why do you?
herpes and HIV.
Yeah,
on.
we're talking
He's like-
us, the people in the panel.
He
Like
was
you keep
using
attacking.
social
You've been
media
a drama
to
queen, a
lure
drama maker.
people
Why?
to have sex with him, and he was giving them diseases. And I just worry that you might be doing the same thing to flat Earth women.
Well,
Because
even if I was, what business is
Pete
it?
talking about you doing that.
Even if I was, what business is it of yours?
Well, don't you think people should be warned if they're being lured into a sex cult with someone with like herpes?
Hey Mars, if this was a Glober you were talking about, would you do the same thing?
I talk about I talk badly about Globers too.
Yeah, but why?
I just say what I think is true. I don't know. Why not? I express my beliefs.
No, you're just being a prick, P.
P. Marsh just has the need to be a dick.
That's what they were saying when I was telling the truth about political hillbilly, and then I turned out to be correct on that one. But then no one thanks me for warning them.
Correct.
About what?
So it's a thankless job being a truther.
No, I don't think you understand the phrase. If you did, you wouldn't be on your side of the fence with regard to the shape of the Earth. See that picture on screen right now, that lighthouse that Jeremy Waternaby, he identified for us? Is that a lighthouse, P, or is that some other kind of hologram?
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah. Is it a lighthouse or is it a hologram?
Looks like a lighthouse.
Right. So why is it you're on your side of the fence when if the curvature of the Earth is supposed to block it from the distance away it's seen, and you call yourself a truther, why would you still push that it's true?
Because I don't believe the curvature of the Earth is supposed to block it.
Yeah, none of it should be seen, P. And not only should none of it be
believe
seen,
that.
I recreated this from the car park, which was like 80 feet below this point. And there should be a difference between the two observations, and there was no difference. They were identical. It means that
This is actually the numbers. It should be blocked because of the numbers that have been given by the ball defenders like the Rumpus and all them people, you know, in that neighborhood. That's why we say it shouldn't be seen, because the Globers said, ballers say, yeah, it should be behind the curve. So it's a phenomenon going on here.
But you call yourself a truther, right, P?
Dude, flat Earth is a joke. There's no phenomena going on here. You guys
So
are
are
just
you.
pretending the Earth is flat. No one
So
really
are
thinks
you.
it's flat.
Yeah, there's no phenomena going on, P. You're quite right. So how do we see this? What's going on?
This isn't an argument because there's no discrepancy with this image and what we would expect to see on a ball. So this isn't evidence for flat Earth. This is evidence of a ball Earth. So why do I have to explain why this picture of a ball Earth is a ball to you who wants to think the Earth is flat?
We shouldn't see it, P. And we're asking why is it we can't see it?
Because you guys created a calculator to tell people that things are hidden behind a curve where there is none. That's the problem, P.
You guys, the problem is you guys don't understand how to use the calculator, and then so you use a calculator, you don't understand.
When the guy who created the calculator came on here himself and said it's all based on assumption.
It's just you being ignorant. So I don't. Why do I have to argue against your ignorance?
Okay, people.
So you heard Chocolate, the creator of the calculator, Mick West, he was here, and he talked to these guys, and yeah, he agreed that the calculator is bullshit. That's a summary of the show. The calculator is bullshit. It's an assumption, and it doesn't perform visual, bullshit,
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this, my second channel, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal and crypto link in the info box below this video. Most importantly though, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. Excuse me. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you're watching this on my main channel, Nathan Oakley 1980, be sure to tune in after this debate ends, as you will be privy to the after show. Now, we are joined by a whole bunch of people, so let's say hello to them all. We have got Adam Meakin, The Plain Truth, Sleeping Warrior, P. Mars, Mark Doxy, Jose, JG, Soundly Slayer Gonzalez, Daniel, Chris, and Arwin. Good to have you all.
Hello, gentlemen.
Boom.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Hello, hello, hello. What?
Hello.
So we've got a very different panel to the first debate. So, any signs of curvature, gentlemen?
Nope.
Nope.
P. Miles, any sign of curvature?
No,
Don't
it's
ask
flat.
him.
You'll flip flop. So should we start calling you flip flop, P? Because you don't take this position ordinarily. What's going on?
I'm a flat earther.
Are you? Don't behave like dicks, though, do they?
Next question, Nathan.
Any signs of axial rotation?
P. Miles?
There's no plate tectonics and earthquakes aren't real, and there's no such thing as volcanoes.
Okay.
Next question.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Absolutely not. Geometry isn't real. You can't triangulate things. I don't believe in squares and triangles.
That's really nice to know. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
I don't feel attracted to the Earth.
So, any scientific evidence of gravity?
I think Mars is more attractive than the Earth.
No.
No? Okay. Anybody? Anybody at all?
Why are you labouring the point, Nathan?
Scientific evidence, none.
Fair enough.
Zero.
Any evidence that you can have a gas pressure without a container for all those people who believe in outer space? claim to be a vacuum?
Afraid not.
Afraid not.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
No.
Not here.
Wow, super enthusiastic panel.
All right. No, that's not. No.
Oh.
Fair enough. What about the holy R value, Earth radius? Any evidence
Not
of Earth
here.
radius?
No.
Anybody? Anybody at all?
Proof lies within math.
Well, that concludes the housekeeping in the most wishy-washy, vague and unenthusiastic way I've ever heard. Thank you very much for your participation.
I think we were waiting for P to finish off, but he quit halfway through. I think
Yeah.
he couldn't cope with too much truth.
Stick it out in the chat. Gap on the panel. He's had enough. Hello, Klaus. How you doing? Hear us?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are
Good to
you?
have you. Missed the housekeeping.
Hi.
Yeah, no worries. I had nothing to contribute.
It was a real cracker today as well. Worth snipping out, it was that good.
I have a question to curvature if you're interested.
Definitely.
Okay, we start at A, we go 10 miles over supposed 66.6 feet of curve. Okay, then we continue another 10 miles, we get to point C, another 66.6, and we continue for another 10 miles to point D, 66.6. So if we go back to A, all in one go, that would be 600 feet. Although 3 times 666 is only 199.8. And if we went from, say, A to C or B to D, that would be 266.7 feet, although 2 times 66.6 is only 133.2. Any explanations?
Yeah. That. Go ahead, Adam. I thought you'd be the one. Go on.
You're resetting each time instead of from A to B is correct, but then you take B to C. Well, that's fine because you reorientate the ball and start the maths again. It's about cumulative curvature. You're not. Yours isn't cumulative. That's additive of sections.
Yeah, but when you draw it out, you have a completely different point. It's not the same. Do you know what I mean? If you actually draw them out.
Clarify what your issue is, because
well, if I do a curve from A to C, then B isn't on it anymore.
Why isn't it? It's in the midpoint.
I understand your point. You're saying if you another way of simplifying that is to say if you travel a mile, you should drop it 8 inches, according to the ball maths. If you then travel another mile, you should drop 8 inches, and then if you travel another mile, you should drop 8 inches, right? But you take the combined formula if you were to measure back the 3 miles that you'd covered at the 8 inches per mile squared value, and you'd end up with a different value. That's what you're basically saying, correct?
Exactly. And if you draw it out orthographically, then B isn't on the line anymore. It's floaty land.
You're correct, and Adam did perfectly address it with his statement better than I could have. In fact, you're taking an additive measurement rather than an accumulative measurement, which is how it is dictated to be done. We're having to defend the globe maths to give you this answer, just so you know.
Yeah, no, I get that. No, I just, and I really appreciate that. It just looks really weird looking at the numbers, and
if you
couldn't figure it out.
You can't add it up like that. If you want to do stuff like that, add the angles up and then recalculate based on that angle. But basically what you're doing is restarting the maths each time when you do that. So you travel the first mile and then you reorientate yourselves. So you reset 0. Whereas if you just travel 2 miles, you're not traveling 1 plus, you're adding the two angles together for the second mile. Okay, when you travel the third mile, you add the three angles and you travel that angle, that third mile, at an angle that is 3 times the first angle. So the first mile, you do go off at the 8 inches. The second mile, relative to the starting point, you go off at 2 times that. The third one, 3 times the angle. And it's adding those together that creates the ball. That's why it curves away at a bally rate. Whereas what you're doing is, putting it simply, you're twisting your picture back and resetting your angle to 0. So you're not measuring 3 miles. You're measuring 3 lots of 1 mile.
Yep. All right.
It's a fair enough question because
yeah, no, it was mentioned last week to me, and I was looking at the numbers and everything, and it just looks completely weird. All right. Well, thanks for that.
Pleasure.
I'll share some perspective if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
Own footage.
Epic. Yes, please.
I was tidying up while I was going through my hard disk. So, are you seeing?
Yeah, you're sharing. Just see your files at the moment.
So this was just a test I did with my little radio-controlled car. Just let it drive up, seeing where it vanishes, and I came to this point. This is quite fun. This is like ranty, like a lot of people have done on a running field. So it is flat as fuck. Sorry.
Yeah, try not to swear. That's epic. I love it. That's great.
Isn't that cute?
So, what's your conclusion?
What do you mean? That warm air and stuff, and I mean.
Oh, it's a shame you said that because I don't agree with that at all. You'll have to. I'll come to it once my kids have a little. No.
Because right there you can see. Oh, come on. You can see the whole band where it's all messed up, and it was a very warm day. I mean, this isn't a while ago. This is sometime summer.
You've reached the diffraction limit. The bottom section of those tyres is now too small to see, and it's just before it would vanish completely. And you're seeing exactly what's described by Airy's diffraction. You can qualify it mathematically by looking at the Rayleigh criterion. So it may very well be that the heat from the ground has caused there to be an even slightly more limited angle. I wouldn't know how to qualify that. But what I do know for certain is that effect is down to the fact that it is in the most limited angle, proven out by the thing next to it with the exact same line of diffraction running through it. So you've got it across your image.
I get that.
You know, the
all right, let's see what else we've got.
That's very cool, though. I love it. That's ace.
Would you be up for a suggestion?
Sure.
Try doing the same test, but in a supermarket where the temperature's not nearly as crazy as what you think. You can get this.
I have tried that, but the thing I have there is I find it does complete different results if you have a ceiling or if you're in the open air. That's why I went to this park deck as well, because I thought I got a nice room there. I don't know.
But the other thing is you're not doing this with an iPhone. This looks like a good quality camera.
No, right? This is P900, but I have done iPhone too. So and this was unfortunately a really windy day, so I had all my little things there, and those were 2 heights. These were all 1, and it was all at the same distance. And I was looking down all the way over, and but yeah, it was windy and it blew my boxes away.
You do understand though that the main point of this task is to demonstrate the limitation of the aperture size. So if you do it on a P900, you're not going to get the same aperture size as you do.
I do get that, yeah, but I was trying to do both because I have done quite a few things with my iPhone, and same here. The cone, I mean, I'm shaking like hell. It's cold too, but you can clearly see as I go down, more and more of the cone just get obscured. And this is as I said, it's a park deck. It's flat on the one side. This was my stuff zoomed in from the other side. This is I don't know, standing height, going a bit lower. This is just over the ground, and this is actually flat on the ground. And it is, as I said, it's a built park deck.
It's gonna be a little contagious because in the outside, it's no way to tell this is 100%, straight as inside a building, that should be straight, avoiding any curve or little bumps and humps. In the outside, it's a little sketchy to say it's really flat or not.
I know. Yeah. It's still, it's not old.
I can hear the frustration in your voice. I know exactly what you're about to say, which is it's blatantly as flat as a pancake, but it actually qualifying that you've got maybe, I don't know how high an iPhone 5 is, it's maybe 3 inches high, that you've got an 1.5 inch obstruction on what you know to be a completely flat surface. But yeah,
exactly.
You've just got Jose giving you the standard rhetoric baller objection.
Oh, that's all good. I get it all the time, don't I?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that photo I thought was crazy because I already saw that it was obscured, although I wasn't even all the way down. And then the sunglasses are almost fully gone. I don't know if I've got anything else good here. I'll just have a... Oh, this was funny because this is actually a curved bridge. So I did the same on a curved bridge just so that you could have a comparison. And you clearly can. I think you see the difference, don't you?
But it's going to be worse. So, the higher up the bridge, the more the angle's going to be limited. So you can induce the effect. So Al Kay did an example where he was driving along, filming maybe cars 1/4 mile ahead of him. And of course, you're forcing the angle to be as tight as it can be over a shorter distance if the surface isn't flat, i.e. it's going uphill. So yeah, you can more easily induce the effect of a limitation on the viewing angle up a hill.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and redo that. It was a shame about the weather that day. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. It makes me wonder how many other people went out off the back of the angle of attack stuff and did the same, but just never actually presented it.
Well, as I said, I was going through my hard disk and I was sorting all the stuff away because you know how it is when you've got 2 cameras and you have loads of stuff, and I hate the mess. So I was going through, and then I saw that I did actually have so much perspective stuff that I hadn't really looked through. So I had another look through it, and yeah. I like the buggy with the double down wheels because that was only what I was still in range, so it can't have been more than 100 meters.
That was a wicked photo. Can I just quickly screen share? There's a video, Nathan.
Yeah, go ahead. This is turning into a great show. I like it when people present stuff. Great. You're on.
Can you see?
Yeah.
So it was just to kind of maybe refer it to Nathan Oakley, Good Times for All the Earth is Flat vid. It's a nice short one, and it describes Zach's work in the warehouse where it was cold. And you can kind of see, I'll just put it there and press play, how the different distance, how exactly what's happening on that buggy happens here. And
Adam.
Yes, sir.
Would you mind introducing yourself? Because if there's people that are watching that are not familiar with who you are and where you're from, it's good to plug yourself, because I noticed that the ballers are set themselves and we don't really do it enough. So I'm just tell everybody where you're from.
Well, whilst okay, then I'll take it as a double opportunity, because I'm Adam Meakin from Iron Realm Media. We have a show on Friday nights. I've done for coming up to 3 years now, I think. Or God knows how long. So long. Yeah, so we have our Have No Sphere podcast and YouTube show on a Friday night. And on that, guys, so obviously Christmases are coming. And we were just chatting last night. We were just thinking of ringing round everybody, like, and seeing if you fancy just wishing happy Christmas to folks live. So we're just going to set up a chat tomorrow night. So if we've got you in Skype, maybe expect a call. If you ignore us, it's fine. If you answer, come on and say hello. And you're welcome to stay for as long or as little as you want. But just thought we'd try and spread a bit of Christmas cheer.
Yeah.
And have a bit of fun tonight.
This Friday coming?
Yeah. Sorry, tomorrow night. Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, so that's it there, mate. Is it Klaus?
Yeah. Doug, whatever.
It's just quite a cool demonstration. And if you go through it, I think you'll hear Nathan and Zach explaining it really well, and it kind of shows that the same thing as what you've got on that buggy, which is a cool shot.
You should make it full screen, Adam.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks.
And get rid of that. I know that you hate that.
I didn't mention it. Yeah. I like you, Adam.
But yeah, there it is. That's cool.
So yeah, massive shout out to Adam Meakin of Iron Realm Media. He's also got a show on TFR, which goes out on a Monday. Is that right?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, well, I don't host on there. Obviously, Josh and Josh Corey and Walt Johnson, Flat Earth Head, host on the TFR show, which goes out on Tuesdays and Friday mornings at 10 o'clock UK time.
As you say, Iron Realm Media on YouTube is Friday nights at 10 o'clock. That's when you guys start. Maybe 9:30, is it?
Half 10 now, because
10.
Josh's new job, it gives him a chance to get in and get adjusted. So we start about 10:30, and it's a ram raid, isn't it? A Friday night now at 9 o'clock. So starting a bit later as well. As long as Jeremy's not streaming live, we get a decent.
Also, a shout out to Zachary Zabala, who often appears on Iron Realm Media. And this is his video, so although it's on my channel, it is actually Zach's video. So good times for all. GUDTIMS 4 ALL. So good times for all, which is Zachary Zabala. He's the guy who did this observation first. This is quite an old observation. It's at least 2 years old now. But he was the first to twig about the diffraction limit. There is a limit to a camera, how far it can see. It's based on the angular size of something, based on the aperture, and you can calculate it using the Rayleigh criterion, which was first introduced to me by Zach. And you can force that angle to be smaller if you're looking over a surface where you don't have an infinite angle, something's blocking the bottom, i.e. the surface you're looking over. So you can induce the diffraction limit at the bottom edge of something at a given distance if you're close enough to the surface, and that is precisely what you are seeing now.
Whilst we're just there, because we're doing shout outs, and so Zach's one of the guys. There's me, Walt, Josh, we mentioned Zach there, and then the other guy that is with us is obviously John Savage, who you'll know from the such tests as the gyroscope test. So very careful not to say the E word there, Nathan.
Can I give my feedback on this show? The Have No Sphere show. Very entertaining. You guys have a little bit of gossip, different guest, special guest, and you tackle 1 or 2 subjects every night you do the show, and you nail it to the T. You dissect it. You go to all the neighborhood possible to try to just dissect the subject and come to a conclusion. Not 100% conclusion, but you tackle a subject and you do a really good job. It's very entertaining, and yeah, very, very recommended. Very good stuff.
Thank you very much. That's really kind. Yeah, we just try to give our opinion. Is all it is. It's a pile of old men having their opinion. Like that's how it started. Just as rambling like that. Been a few others, James and Rob, and maybe Rob might be coming back. He's in Australia, and it's
if you play this show to
journey.
If you play this show to an average Joe in a radio, just say, let's go a long trip, a 2-hour trip, and you be playing the show. The other person that don't know what this is about, the whole thing is a regular podcast show just in the radio, and then the swearing start coming in. You this and that, and you go like, oh no, this is something else, Yeah, good stuff, man.
There's the odd bit. Like I say, it's more like a bunch of guys. So sometimes I don't think there's a lot of curse. There's certainly no aggression there.
Yeah,
If there is,
sometimes, yeah.
It's
In a fun way, yeah.
yeah. I think Anthony picked us up on that. He was playing as and trying to blag us off as a radio show. I think in the cab, in the bus, didn't you, mate? And I was swearing, or probably mine ruined it.
It's what I do on a Friday night.
I think it's called ghosting. If you make it sound like a radio show, and then you play it publicly, people don't realize it's not a radio show. They don't realize it's something on YouTube or whatever. So you can ghost professionalism by the back door and just get these words, these key words implanted.
Sorry to interrupt. So if you want to go and subscribe to Iron Realm Media, I've just put the link to Iron Realm Media, one of the videos on their channel. So random video I picked, I don't know which one it is. Hopefully it's a good one, but the link is in the chat. It's floating by right now. Go and subscribe to Iron Realm Media right now.
Yeah, they're massively undersubscribed, and the content's good enough for it to be like not the condition that it's in. So,
I shared. Brilliant! I shared the premiere of the discussion with Martin Liedtke. Excellent.
Oh, that's what brilliant! That's Walt's been wanting to get that out. So that's a great shout. That was a great. That was done on the TFR Ironworks show on about a week or two ago. One morning. Really good. Martin was, like I say, I don't get on very often, but it was the one that I made sure, if I was lining Martin up to come on, I made sure I was able to get there. I was hiding at the back at work, joining in. So, yeah, really good show. It goes into quite a few.
I gave Martin I gave him a shout out today as well, because he's been massively increasing his subscriber count thanks to Max Egan. And he's been putting like posts out that say 9k day, 10k day, 11k day, you know, and then thanking his new subscribers. So I did that today. I was like, 9k day, shout out to Flat Earth British. So it's nice. It's all nice and synchronous.
Yeah. 10k for Christmas for you, mate, hopefully.
Say again.
I said 10,000 for Christmas, if you can get to...
I don't think I'm going to gain 1,000 subscribers in 10 days, but...
Never. That Martin's went like that, mate. He got out of watching it, and it suddenly just went all of a sudden.
Simon Dan did.
Simon Dan told us when he was on about 320 subs that he was going to hit 10,000. I mean, how did he know that?
100,000.
Maths.
Oh, sorry, 100,000.
Yeah, he said to me in a comment, when I get to 100,000 subs, and my reply was words to the effect of, how the hell do you know that you're going to get to 100,000 subs? I don't know from one day to the next if I'm going to gain or lose subs, but you know that you're going to get to 100,000. And sure enough, he did. Very suspicious.
Hey, Nathan. Have y'all been following along with the Dr. John D. Mick West saga?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been following that. What do you know? What's new?
I don't know. Just I was going to show the latest video he posted about a couple hours ago, I think.
Oh, right. I've not seen that. Yeah, let's get this up. Right. Do you want to give the background to it?
All the way back, or?
Well, just do it in a couple of sentences. He made the observation. He did all the tests, all the measurements of temperature and the pressure and all that kind of stuff. And Mick West then saw...
It says it in there, though, too.
Pardon?
It's a bit of a recap. It has most of the info in this clip.
Yeah.
This is getting really convoluted. Can somebody summarize all of it in maybe 3 or 4 sentences?
Anthony was doing a good job. Go ahead, Anthony.
Yeah, so basically, he puts his camera looking down a drain pipe that he's got level in 3 places, and he measures the temperature, the pressure, the water temperature, and what then happens is Mick sees that this stuff shouldn't be seen if we live on a sphere because of the curvature. So rather than argue that it's simply refraction, he actually argues that, because normally what they normally do is they normally just literally default to refraction, but what Mick does is actually use something that is an absolute flat earth proof to support his claim that refraction, this is actually refraction. Now, he didn't do it generally, he did it specifically with a particular attribute of the picture. Now, the problem is There's a couple of problems to do with this refraction argument, and it's better off watching the video to have this, because I'm probably going to butcher it, and I haven't seen this most recent video, so it's actually I'm not going to put into words what he said because I haven't seen this new one. But basically, it seems that the refraction is the wrong way in the circumstances, because the facts that were recorded, temperature and stuff, said that the refraction should go the opposite way to what Mick's saying, and Mick's not got any evidence to support his assertion. And we all know what happens without evidence to support your assertion. It gets dropped. But rather than, he won't admit that it's being dropped, and he's basically claiming this now, and he's putting it on his website as a proof of refraction, but it's going the wrong way.
So yeah, so that's a very good synopsis, but basically it gets even better than that. And what happened was this Dr. John D. guy's PhD, who created the original video that we talked about a few weeks ago, he asked for Mick West's data, right? The raw data, like of his formula and his algorithm and how he's doing these, calculations. And so far he hasn't given it to him, but based on what he has seen and given, he had a bunch of computer programmers look at, how he might be doing this, and basically the conclusion is that Mick West is putting in false data to come to a presupposed conclusion that he wants it to be. So, for example, like the humidity was 50% and he put in 80% or something like that. So he took completely false and fake numbers and put it into his calculator. So I don't know if I'm screen sharing. I don't know if you're showing me Nathan or not, but I can quickly go over this. Video is only 5 minutes.
Yeah, definitely go over it. Let's hear it.
Yeah, I can just buzz through it real fast. I mean, all of his videos are they're all only text. So basically, it's just starting here on the first slide. Mr. Mick West has chosen not to supply the source data to allow his homemade atmospheric refraction simulator to be validated. I mean, and there's a lot of text in some of these, so I won't go over all of it. But I will go over the important parts. So Mick West is informed that if his simulator model was based on Snell's law, then it was non-applicable as an atmospheric refraction simulator and was actually misleading. The science was presented and nobody disagrees with the science. Mick West's reply: it is not based on Snell's law. It's based on the variation in the speed of light across the wave front. So then he says, since the programmers I am in contact with use my observations to develop and refine their models, use Snell's law with the disclaimer that it is the best law presently available to base their calculations on, but it uses a set of assumptions. Let's see.
Is one of those assumptions by any chance?
Probably. In fact, I'm not even going to go. I might even go right to his conclusions, because he gives a lot of this data sort of backing his claims versus what Mick West says. So I might not even cover that because it's way above my head. You feel free to read it later. But
I did watch this, and to be honest, Anthony would lap that up because it's all of his arguments. So while you say it's above your pay grade,
let me watch it later so I can digest it. Let me hear what the conclusion is so I can put it in context when I watch it.
Yeah.
Later.
So I'm going to stop here kind of in the middle because this is good too. So he says, email from Mr. West giving more information on his model. The basic idea, though, is that it's a 2D model. So that's a huge issue. He's using a 2D model for a 3D real world scenario. So that's a big one. Mr. West has designed his own model and is using it to make statements about real life observations, which were supported with a wealth of known and accepted scientific facts. If Mr. West's simulator isn't based on Snell's law, with a disclaimer, then it must be based on a substantial and extensive range of empirical real-life measurements he has taken that would be necessary to build such a simulator and use it in the way it has been applied. If the simulator is not based on such empirical measurements, it cannot be used as an atmospheric refraction model unless used for the purpose of deception, which is my guess. All right, so let me jump to the conclusion and we can get down to brass tacks. All right, conclusions. Mr. Mick West has produced an atmosphere refraction simulator / model. One that is based on assumed values that are non-empirical and have been selectively chosen by Mr. West. Two, Mr. West does not make it clear to people on his simulator website that the model is based on assumed values and what those assumed values are. When in discussion with Mr. West, he does not mention this. This is deceptive. Three, Mr. West is using a 2D simulator to model three-dimensional real life and uses it as a tool to present a convincing argument to people that might not appreciate the subtleties of his model. This is dishonest and deceptive. Using a 2D simulator to model three-dimensional real life is just patently wrong and unscientific. 4. Mr. West chooses not to allow the source data of his simulator that isn't based on the closest known refractive law, Snell's law, to be reviewed and tested to determine its validity. So basically, this guy is just proving that Mick West is a blatant fraud.
He's come to the same conclusions that we came to when we had a back and forth with him. Our basic position was based on a few points, and when it came to the points, it all revolved around this application of the R value. I mean, light doesn't bend at the rate of 7.6 times the radius of the Earth. It travels in straight lines, and it deviates from straight by minute amounts in all directions. It doesn't follow a curved path. Now, even if it does follow a curved path, you've still got to show the Earth's got a curve to it. But basically, we've had a back and forth with him a long time ago, and the effect of it was that he admitted it was based on an assumed radius value. And we haven't seen anybody use it ever since. They're all trying to use Walter Bisslin's one now, which seems to do the same thing, but in a different way. And we don't know too much about Bisslin's calculator, but the point is that Mick West, as far as everybody else in this debate on this side of the pond, sees it, is that he's lost the credibility because you got to prove the R bit before you can assume it.
The calculators are both based on the exact same principles, so Walter Bisslin's calculator is no different to Metabunk's calculator. They both work in exactly the same way.
Yeah, I know that he's. I believe he's doing some more some more observations in the coming weeks. Is that right? He's repeating the observations. Is that right?
You talking about Dr. John D?
Yeah. Sorry, did I say
so? I think he's actually doing a laser test next, which I think's fine, but I think we've had enough laser tests. But obviously, he wants to do his own since that's sort of his specialty.
Yeah, the problem with laser tests is that everybody says that you're not actually looking at the light; you're looking at the end of the beam, like the Batman figure at the end. You're not looking at the source, and nobody can prove what you're looking at.
Well, and again, I agree with that, but maybe he's going to be able to do some things that we don't know of, or to be able to prove that fact. I mean, it's like that. Everyone's seen that mirror test by now, right? Where, what is it?
I was just about to mention that. Yes, good point.
Yeah. 13, I don't know what it's 13 or 15 miles away. They have a 4-foot mirror flat on the beach, and you can see the reflection of the sun from 13 or 14 miles away. And it's like, oh, is the light 13 miles away bending over, either bending over the curve or shooting over the curve, and you can see it up in the sky? Like, no, that doesn't make any sense. That's ridiculous.
So, still no signs of that elusive R, though. I don't even think they should be like assuming a radius of Earth. It's nonsense. That was the reason why Nathan kicked off. I mean, he's right. Nathan is right. We shouldn't even assume R. Why assume R then? Just because everybody thinks that we live on a ball, that doesn't mean that it is right. We should be literally trying to prove that we have this R, not just accepting that it's there.
Yeah, it's the irony of irony from the last show. So it is acceptable if you are a globehead to automatically both assume and demand that someone else assumes the R value, while simultaneously telling them that they can't believe their own bloody eyes when they look at a picture.
Yeah.
So I heard you guys talking about that on the first show, and I'm sort of split between we just see it because it's there, and then some of sort of what the ballers say. So let me give an example. So the example of not seeing the bottoms of objects due to probably a few factors, depending on what picture you're looking at: perspective, this atmospheric distortion, refraction, inferior mirage. So if we were to look at one of Ranty's photos and say, well, we don't see the bottom because it's just not there, right? So is that a similar argument that the ballers make? Or I mean, because then we do have to explain why we don't see the bottom. So at what point do you have to explain you just don't see something versus you just see it?
Well, it's always the point that's conveniently when it's behind the curve for them. It's never before. We never see the refraction going the other way. We never see like the bottom of stuff being cut off where I mean, light bends in both ways, right? And we never argue that light bends in. I mean, it's rare when actually thinking about it, we have argued it once or twice, but light bends in all directions and it's by a negligible amount. And this claim that they put, which is, well, you only need to make 0.2 degrees to make it seen. Yeah, but that 0.2 degrees goes the opposite way as well. It only needs to bend up once, and then it's got to bend down twice to catch back up again. And we know that light does bend up because Soundly showed it on his little Tensis Bayou observation where he put his time lapse up. All them lights dance independently up and down. And if light's doing what they say it's doing, it only needs to bend once away from the norm, and then it's got to always try and catch back up again. And we know that it bends in both directions, so it's complete and utter nonsense.
So yeah, I think the point is, the way I would describe it is, for the ballers, you know, when we see something 18 miles away and you can see the base of it, i.e. Ranty's picture, we can see it because it is there. And then when we can't see the bottom of it, then you actually do have to explain why you can't see the bottom, because refraction and distortion, right, and atmosphere and looming, or miraging, right? So then I think it is applicable to say you actually do have to explain why you can or can't see something, I guess, at that point. See Rumpus in chat. Does Rumpus want to join?
Sorry, guys, I'm still working on some other stuff. Okay, if somebody, if there needs to be some space, I could drop.
Hey, Arwen, this is Chris. I have to drop. I've got a repair guy here, so I'm going to have to go. I'll see y'all later.
Thanks, Chris.
You're quiet today, Nathan. Have you not been rattled?
I'm just still fiddling with things behind the scenes, that's all.
We need to know what evidence that these ballers have, because they don't seem to have any evidence, but they all believe
Paul,
it.
how you doing?
I'm good.
Good to have you.
What shapes the world, Paul?
It's flat, actually.
Cool. What evidence did you accept? What was your moment where you realised that it was not a sphere?
Well, multiple things. I did some observations at Myrtle Beach myself, and just a lot of the things you guys have covered, I've actually done on my own. Seeing it and then just questioning so many different things, like obviously NASA and the whole 9 yards that most of you guys discussed already.
Yeah. Nice to see that there's a little bit of objectivity going on. Don't trust us, do it yourself. And then when you do it yourself, you realise this is not what we're supposed to be living on. If it's a ball, shouldn't see these things. We do see too far.
It's what we always say, that, mate, is test it yourselves. I was on about the moonlight experiment I did, and this, as Jose was saying earlier, when we were getting critiqued for the photographs and the likes, all these things are repeatable and doable yourselves that we're asking. And I do think there's, Paul, you name it, I think it's there's nothing better. It's all right reading and, logicking stuff out, but actually going out there, seeing it, doing it, testing it yourself, there's nothing better for confirmation than that for me.
You're absolutely right, Adam. And that's why they have to make it seem as though we're lying.
Yeah.
when you can actually go out and do these things yourself.
Yeah.
We can't go out and observe curvature. There is none. Everything that gets obstructed, they say that's what it is. It's like now we have to argue with them about what's a belief and what's a fact. It's insane.
Jose, are you here?
It's the presupposition that you have to factor in something and then in some way remove it for it to work in the model. That's what's frustrating is that when you're in conversation with the ballers, that they're not even prepared to concede that that actually is an odd thing to have to do.
That's why they get kicked very easily if they don't take the intellectually honest position, which is, well, this is actually a valid counter. You should be accepting that it's a valid counter and then admitting that we don't necessarily know what it is, but there's enough evidence to suggest it can't be a ball because it can't be always the case that it seems to be flat.
I'm here, Riley.
Jose, what was your position when you've done this observation with the light in the supermarket floor and walked away from it and it dropped, right?
Yes.
And prior to you doing that, you were obviously skeptical, or you were thinking, I'm going to try it. When you actually did, you realized that it did do what we were saying it did do. What was your position at that moment when you saw it yourself?
Actually, a few weeks before, I did this with before I got the P900, I did it with the Canon camera, the bigger camera, 50 times zoom. I did it in a sidewalk. The sidewalk was fairly straight, and I just put the camera in one end, and I told my wife to guard it. And then I just walk all the way to the end of the sidewalk. It was maybe 50-foot long sidewalk, and I walked back, and I uploaded the video. I couldn't see anything because I had black shoes, and it was just whatever, I didn't see any difference. And I took a couple screen caps at the end when I was standing at the end, and I didn't see anything disappearing from my shoes. It actually was, nothing happened. But what was it? It was a big camera, it was higher from the ground. And I still uploaded it and nothing. I got nothing. Now, when I did it in the supermarket and I thought about doing it, I said, this is a long flat surface, probably twice the distance to the other one. It's not that I didn't know if it was going to work or not. I say, I'm just going to do this and then review the footage. So it was like, it was so satisfying for me, like, to see that it did happen. Even if it didn't happen, I was still going to upload it. And I was going to say, like, yeah, this is what I got, So when it happened, I said, like, this is it, I'm going to do it again and again. And I did it the opposite side, and I did it in the other end of the supermarket. I did it a bunch of times, so every time worked. I haven't been in another place, bowling alley or track, running track, anywhere else to be able to do it. But it does happen. Things disappear from the bottom up in a flat surface, with a camera very low to the floor. I mean, it is what it is. It just happens.
Yep. And that's why it's worth going out and doing your own observations, because don't believe us. These ballers badmouth us at every opportunity they can. If we mispronounce a word or we get a slight arithmetic thing wrong, they'll use that then to debunk the rest of the claim. No, it's not how it works. The claim is that we don't live on a sphere that the way you guys are telling us, and we don't think that there's any evidence to support it. You guys tell us there's a preponderance of evidence and there's the whole body of science. But when it comes down to it, when you look into the science, there isn't actually any science for this at all. A lot of it's pseudoscience, but accepted and promoted and pushed as science, but it isn't actually science at all. We know what science is. It's observable, repeatable, verifiable, and it's demonstrated by the use and the application of the scientific method, and it establishes a cause and an effect relationship. But how else is this? This isn't science, because we're not trying to establish a cause and effect observation, a cause and effect situation. We're trying to establish whether or not there's actually curve there.
Relationship.
Sorry?
You're looking to establish a cause and effect relationship.
Why? What did I just say?
Can't remember. Yeah,
it's not science. It's just different tests, to prove or disprove that something happened or not. This is, I think, this is the one of the easiest way that everybody can do it. You don't have to grab a camera phone. Just do it for yourself, for your own mind and satisfaction. When you are in a supermarket or whatever, just look in the other side of the supermarket when there's not too many people around. See the bottom part. If there's a can sitting on the ground, just put your head on the ground. Close one eye, leave the eye open, closest to the floor, and just to yourself, tell yourself, can I see the bottom of the object in the end? Because your eyes are pretty good. Your eyes can catch what's at the end of the hallway. Just do it for yourself. And then if you think you are getting the obstruction in the flat surface, grab a phone if you can. If not, just do it for yourself and see if you're going to lose the bottom of the objects in the long hallway, because you will lose it.
I agree. Well, I guess that idea that the whole body of science proves that we're on a sphere is kind of debunked, because there isn't any science that proves that we're on a sphere, because science can't manipulate gravity, it can't manipulate curvature of the Earth. So what is the actual science that proves that we live on a sphere, given that you can't manipulate that independent variable that in science must be there? Where is this science? How are you going to show this? And when push comes to shove, there doesn't appear to be any.
Yeah, again, I said it on the last show. They're in a position where they must turn a concrete noun into an observed phenomena because of their model telling them to do so. And we're not allowed to just believe our own eyes. We have to suddenly question it. At a given distance, the distance that should be obscured by Earth curve, that is. I just get sick of people telling me that I've got a belief when I just see something in a picture. That really annoys me.
Yeah, Nathan, can I make a comment about that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I was listening to the last show, I was trying to get in so I could make a comment. It was kind of hard. You know, I agree with you that there's facts exist, you know, but you do have a belief in those facts, you know, whether those facts are true or false. And I don't think it's to shy away from the word belief. I don't think we should necessarily do, you know, the fact is the lighthouse was there. You believe that lighthouse was there.
I don't agree with that. A fact is a fact regardless of whether you believe it or not. It's whether or not you accept that fact.
Right, I agree with you. I agree. I mean, a fact can be a fact.
Confirmed or it's unconfirmed.
I mean, if either a fact is true or false. Now, you can believe whether the fact is true or false. As a person, I believe that. I make a judgment. I make a judgment on it. I either believe that statement is true or I believe that statement is false. So, I mean, not shying away from that idea of belief, I could say, well, I believe your facts are false. You know, then it's up to me to show where your facts are false, or vice versa. So
correct. And at that point, absolutely correct. And at that point, it's up to Alan to show where me saying Mackord Lighthouse is somehow false, and they can't.
Right.
But then they have to force you to just believe that you don't see what you actually see. In other words, reify their model, have an Earth curve in the way that isn't seen, and have it looming around the Earth curve that you don't see. So that's what they must believe. You know, it's nice that we can actually have this conversation without just going around in circles 17 times.
Well, I think that's usually what happens. I mean, most of the time we're trying to, there's an aspect of semantics, and I think that's usually muddles the water. And I think one thing there's a guy out there, I was going to recommend this. It's a Christian. I'm a Christian, and I'm not making why I believe in the flat Earth is Christian or not. It's not relevant. But there's a book called Tactics, and it's actually really good because it, even though it's using for Christian apologetics, there's a lot of principles that can be used in a lot of ways to kind of undermine, you know, somebody's facts or, you know, logical fallacies that you guys bring up all the time. And there's ways to do that. You can basically pull the rug out from under them and not even get mad, or even just let their own argument kind of self-destruct on itself, you know, and learning, you know. And I've done that many times talking to people. I try not to get mad because it makes it worse and they don't listen. But if I can kind of figure out how I can pull the rug out from under them and they don't even realize it, you know, and then they're going like, wait a minute, what just happened? You know.
Shout out to Good Times for All. He's in the chat at the moment if you want to go and subscribe to his channel. We did a whole section on you, by the way, Zach. You probably won't wait to see it, but there we go. Big shout out to Zach.
Did you miss it, Zach? All right, cuz. Good session. Some good work he's done there. I think it's, like you said, Nathan, it's 2 and a bit years old. I think, or a year and a bit old, isn't it? It stood the test and really is demonstrating stuff even now. But just to comment, just want to say something. You was talking there about the voice. It's the trouble is the 2 sides appear to be playing by different rules. It was, you know, and I think most flat earthers take an honest approach to stuff, but we're now, you know, pretty well actually, and not just now. We've got Soundly's stuff, which is deceptive photos, but they're now taking it to another level because their argument has become weakened so much. You can see where they want to, how they want to play the game today. It was on this very, very childish level about basically, is what you see in your eyes a belief? You know, it came down to that. Do you believe what you see? And playing semantics on that, and it really does show the state of the strength of their argument and how weak it is at the moment. That they're the points that they're concentrating on and arguing, and it's a victory, but it is getting tedious. I don't know. I know Nathan's got 3 strikes and you're out now, and that's good. But
one thing I like about Nathan when I started listening,
Alan was good enough to spend some time chatting with us before the show, and he was very cordial. But you know, so he got far more leniency than I would ordinarily give. You know, a few weeks ago now, I was like, I'll draw the line now. I'm sick of going round and round in circles. I'm not going to start documenting the 300th time I've said the same thing to somebody. Just like give up. You know, what's the point? It's not entertaining.
Are you sure?
I just want to say I've put I'll do it again. I've put a link to one of Zach's videos. So Good Times for All. Go and subscribe to him immediately if you're in the chat. There he is. There's the link to his channel.
What I was going to say, I didn't mean to talk to you, Nathan. What I was going to say, one thing I liked about when I first started listening to the Flat Earth debate, you know, one thing you go after is their base, like what's their foundation, and if you go after the foundation, it all begins to crumble after that. You know, and I think that's the power of the Flat Earth. We're going after all the foundations. You know, oh, the boats go over the curve. Well, no, they don't. If you look, they don't. You know. You just shattered their foundation.
Absolutely. And on that very complimentary note, I'm going to say first and foremost a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. Now, if you're watching this on Nathan Oakley 1980 channel, stay tuned as you will get the upload for the first time of the after show, so stay tuned if you're watching this on Nathan Oakley 1980. If you're watching this live, thank you very much for tuning in. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
No worries. I'm sorry it was quieter than normal show. We normally have somebody on that gives us a bit of like abuseful stuff, but
I ain't complaining, not in the slightest. You know, I'm doing all sorts of rubbish behind the scenes. That's why, as you pointed out, I'm very quiet. So yeah, I could do with a few. I'm all sorted now, pretty much. I think I'm 90% there. But yeah, I needed a couple of quiet shows to get everything, all my ducks in a line. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm waiting for my deliveries and they're not here. They should have been here today, and I've had 1 of 5 outstanding things. They should have all been here today.
I'm also waiting for a card.
Overjoyed.
Oh, Adam, are you still there?
Yeah.
I need to show you this, dude. You need to see
this.
this.
I was going to say, you're going to flash what you've been going on about.
Yeah.
Get your techers out.
Yeah. Well, you know, you said you're going to like this. Right, so, are you ready?
Go on.
Look at that. So basically, it's a one-handed grip. And what it allows me to do, it allows me to get my phone and stick my phone in like that. So my phone can be broadcasting a live hangout whilst I'm holding this. But I also have one set of lights there, another set of lights there. But I've got there's a cold shoe on the top here that is allowing me to get a boom mic on it, so I can have a microphone and then plug into my phone. Because obviously, when you got your phone in, the microphone's pointing left to right. It's not pointing at your source.
Yeah.
But what I've done is because I've got another bracket that connects to there for another phone that can connect. So basically, I can get my phone and Roxanne's phone live broadcasting on 2 channels at the same time, the same stuff. So when we go down Speaker's Corner, which I believe you're coming to, is that right?
I'm not going to make this first one, mate, because I'm just too busy with work till after Christmas. But the next one, I'll definitely try and get to. But
so basically, there'll be a phone in the bottom there that Roxanne's phone will just clip to that thing, like a screw thread underneath. My phone's in the middle, 2 lights, and then I've got a boom mic, a cold shoe mic that fits there for my phone. She's going to connect onto her phone with a Bluetooth earpiece, so her microphone will be on a mouth. Well, basically, it's 2 phones, 1 rig, one-handed operation, simulcast a live hangout on 2 channels at once. How good's that?
I'll show you mine then. I'll get my tech out now. So this is we had the iron stick. This is the iron staff. So it's got retractable feet. I can use it, but it's also mounted with a fully functioning gyro mount.
Whoa. So you've got high tech, haven't you?
Yeah, look at that. Look, see, I got full gyro.
How much was that?
You son of a bitch.
Look at that. I can just spin the camera and all sorts of it.
Adam, how much was
I got it actually for like 50 quid from the auction rooms. But they're about 120, 130 quid for the top bit. And then the bottom bit I bought, and that was like 60 quid. But look at that, man. Look, woo.
That's good. But where's your microphone going to go? Because your microphone's not going to work, is it?
So I've got obviously a couple of. There's the mic in there, and then I've got the old mic. Where's that? Let me just show you. That'll plug into the phone. So I've got that as well. That's the one I used at the conference last year. So that's really quite good because you can, if you're interviewing, you can hand it to.
That is quite good. You're right.
So that plugs into there. But what I have also with that is if you get a splitter like this, you can then plug this into your phone. You can have your headset on. And like at the conference, I had another set of headsets so that we were streaming live to the studio and people I was interviewing could talk, but also hear the studio.
How could they hear the studio?
Because you get another headset that I've got a headset. So you've got the splitter there, which splits the microphone and the headsets, and then from the headset one you split those, one for me to the live stream and the other one goes to whoever you're talking to so they can listen to people in the studio as well on the stream.
Cool. So well, my goal's been slightly different to yours because like basically Roxanne wants to do a live broadcast but she can't leave a phone unattended because it'll get nicked, and I said, well, let me think of a way I can make this work so that 2 of us can do one hangout but broadcast it twice. And this is the way I came up with. I just came up with 1 rig, but with 2 camera mounts, 2 lights on it, so that it can light up in the dark, and then a shotgun.
I like that.
Can I show you my
I do like the lighting.
Can I show you my
I mean,
I got mine. So as I twist my hand left and right, I can make the thing turn, and then if I press my little button on the front, I can make it go up and down to look at something. But it's super stable. Cool, huh? And then I've even got a little attachment to screw onto the bottom, so I can turn it into a tripod, so I can actually like leave it standing if I want to walk away from it. So this was my I think it was a birthday present from my wife. That's my Smooth 4, it's called.
Oh, that's the Smooth Q.
Smooth Q.
So mine's a down step from yours. Mine's more of a budget version, Nathan, I think.
Okay.
Yours is the like one up, but yeah, it's that. Is it GU or something?
I don't know. I didn't actually pick it myself. It was my wife that bought it. So I just
the
said I want a gimbal. I want something to make my pictures super stable when I actually film stuff with the phone. And she did all the research and then gave me that. And I was like, ace. Started using it immediately. It's great. Keeps everything.
Let's say mine's like say I bought that. So when I'm at the conference, I can just stick it down. But that's the same look. Mine's just the.
Okay. Very similar.
So then it screws on that, and you can use it for all sorts of telescopic or just stand it there like on the legs. Do you know what I mean? If you want the legs, so
yeah, it's cool, isn't it? It's cool, and it's not that. I think
DD hooked, mate.
Paid, but I think you also have a different user requirement.
Yeah, yours is like a rig for a purpose. I like it. Multi-broadcast platform.
It's a bit rough at the minute, but if I put me, where's it gone? Oh, there it is. Just imagine it with the other phone on underneath, attached to that bracket, and then you can see that like 2 phones held in it, double lights at the top, and then I've got my boom mount that goes into my mic, into my phone. But then it's basically like one-hand operation. Get your phone going, and then everything works. Like yes.
You look like a proper wanker holding it, but as long as you're accepting of that.
Agreed.
I don't mind holding it if it's got something substantial to hold because it's not that heavy. I can like.
Dude, if you're gonna walk around on the street with that thing, especially with the lights on, and telling you are a flat earther, they're gonna think you're like an alien invasion or something.
Well, I'm gonna wear a high-vis jacket on it and make it look like a media, so that they don't think I'm inside.
Right.
Nice one.
Yeah.
Are you an alien trying to kidnap me?
Say again, Alvin.
Are you an alien trying to kidnap me?
Oh, so alien trying to tell everyone that the Earth is flat. Never heard that before.
I'm gonna be arguing that it's not a ball. If I argue that the Earth's flat, it's going to cause too many problems. If I argue that it's not a ball, that's a lot easier to deal with because it's only half the battle, and it's not my battle to have; it's their battle to have.
I think that's an easier win when you're talking to people. It's just to dissect theirs. That's one thing Roxanne taught me. You know, when you're engaging with people on the street, it's just sufficient to just deal with their beliefs and not really just keep moving away because they're always trying to get you to build a model for them.
Yeah, that's right.
And so stick away from that.
I can do it.
Move away from it and just stick with, like you say, just proving it's not a ball.
I know you can do it, Alvin, but it's suicide if you do that.
No, it's not. It really isn't. It works out
you make assertions and they say, "Can you prove it?" And you say no, then you just get binned.
No, but people that ask for models like that I meet don't go that far. They're not trained ballers, like we know on the debates here. So they never do that. They're just surprised that I actually thought out a pretty much all-encompassing system, because they don't expect to hear that from flat earthers on average. There's not a lot of people that really get it.
Yeah,
just talk about it.
Some people aren't really that serious in how they approach like PSYOPs guy. He thinks it's all like a turtle or something. Like I don't really get that. You know who I'm talking about?
I've heard so many PSYOP rumors, including that flat Earth is actually an alien PSYOP to try to keep us contained.
I hadn't heard that one.
Space travel. Yeah, I heard it.
I really hadn't heard that one.
Even said that at some point between tongue and cheek.
But P-Bar's actually explained this week why he's against flat Earth, which I thought was quite interesting. And he says it's because he really doesn't believe it's flat, and he thinks it's just getting all the people interested in it, and then just to have them realize that they were fooled, so that they never ever fall for a conspiracy theory again. So,
what a noble cause!
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Well,
but at least it was quite a good
presuppositional perspective.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought.
If flat Earth wasn't true, then yeah, that sounds very reasonable.
Yeah, I don't see the ball anymore. Yeah, I'll see if I can find somewhere indoors flatter than a park deck. I'll redo that because I'm more curious myself. But yeah, as I said, it was a shame that day with the wind and the weather. Oh, and I'm just looking at the footage again. I actually believe the park deck is flat because when you're doing 50 kilometers an hour, my buggy doesn't budge. I think if it was wonky, wobbly, or anything else, I'd see it in the suspension.
What, you don't feel lessened gravity because of the centrifugal force of you motioning over the globe?
Try next time you try it. Do it with a smaller camera, like with a cell phone or camera with the lens lower to the ground.
Yeah, I actually had both cameras with me. I had the P900 and my phone, and I did it in both directions. That's why the cone was at the one end where you could see the bottom vanish, and my backpack and that stuff was in the other direction. So I did actually do both directions and everything. It was just a shame about the weather. And the camera always focuses on the ground, even though it's not pointed down.
Uno, what's up, man?
What up, Chocolate?
What's going on, brother? How you feeling?
Good, good. You?
I'm good. Surrounded by noise at work, so it's retarded for me to talk sometimes. But
throw with poo-poo.
I'm always here in spirit.
Always good hearing you.
Yes, sir.
Arwin?
Yeah?
What are you doing now? You got half an hour?
Sure, I guess. Yeah, I still have to do some stuff for tomorrow, but... Yeah,
I'm just wondering if you fancy it, jump on Skype and just have a quick chat about OBS and setting you up, see what you need. If not,
I was hoping...
I'll sort you after Christmas.
Oh. I was hoping like after this Friday, because I'm still like preparing also mentally for my my gamer session.
Oh yeah, I heard D&D.
Yeah, I've been working on it like even during the debates. That's why I was silent a long time. It's a lot of work.
It'll be this time next week before I'm around, I think, to have any other chance. But that's cool. If not,
all right. Well, I don't mind if it's a bit later, so no problem with that. I'm quite content with the way the show is running right now, so it's not like it's in a hurry.
Have a think about
Arwin. After today, I should be off for a good week and change, so I'll be able to come in and give you a little bit back and forth on your show.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Yeah, man.
Always good to have you.
It's doing my head in, mate. It's just at the wrong time for me. It's always I've always got it on, so I enjoy listening. But I do plan to try and jump in one day. But
you already did join like twice, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, properly have a good session. I've had a little pop in, but
whenever it's convenient, don't worry about it. I know you're around, so.
Yeah. Well, listening, mate, I love it. It's really cool.
Sorry, this will get broadcast tomorrow at 11 on Nathan Oakley 1980 channel now since the strike. So you can actually use this as an opportunity to plug your show because you've got a bigger audience actually listening to this than the live show.
Okay. Flat Earth Early Bird every day. 1 hour before the Flat Earth debates start. Yeah. It's with panel members, but a little bit safer. So not really an open panel. You join by Skype, or get invited by Skype. And I just talk about a lot of things. Every subject you could think of, as long as it's not too agitating or disgusting. From psychology, politics, economics, alternative health, spirituality, religion, to Flat Earth and everything surrounding the Flat Earth scene. So, come and watch Flat Earth Early Bird Show every day on my channel, Arwin, ARWIJN. Thank you for the plug.
Good plug, well done. So, Arwin channel, Flat Earth Early Bird, 1 hour before the debates, ARWIJN.
Yeah, thanks for the plug earlier as well, Nathan. Arwin, that was much better. My brain turns to mush as soon as I have to do it.
That reminds me, Adam. So, can you pass on my regards in this respect, exactly this respect, in fact. So, after watching Rebel Without a Pause and Martin Leaker and UAP, and there's a few others that are all talking about history hoax at the moment, and they're all shouting each other out, sharing each other's links, telling their audience how good the material is that they reference, replaying it, all that sort of stuff. And I spoke to Martin the other day, and I was like, "Oh, you're all a really cliquey little bunch. You all know each other really well, right?" And he was like, "Oh no, not at all." I was like, "Really?" Quite shocked. Because I naturally assumed that they're all talking to each other on Skype and talking about the information. Not at all. They're just of one mind, working as a coherent group, and they're not even in touch with each other. They're just shouting out each other's material, and you think, why the hell aren't we doing that?
I'll write that down. Yeah.
Hold on. I want to make a point about it. It's a short point, but it's kind of fascinating, though, that the alternative history people are basically delving into separate materials and naturally, without communication among one another, are basically drawing the same conclusions. Now, that is a telling thing. So many people are getting the same directions. That's really good. It's actually better than if it was a group that in constant communication from the start. Because then they would probably start to decide on what the narrative of the group would be, that kind of thing. But now they're all separately basically figuring out the same things.
I think the ideology is pretty much already there in Fomenko's work. What's interesting is people are doing independent research in different parts of the world, and it is coherent for me. The assumptions and premises that we're working on are matching up with the observations that people are gathering and the historical data that they're gathering. That's the strength of it. But I think, as Nathan says, what's fantastic is the way in which they're supportive of each other without even talking to each other. That it really, they're not lovings. They're just taking chunks of each other's work with no moaning about copyright or anything, and they're just using that to exemplify their point. And there's a great, I didn't know they weren't talking at all, Nathan, either. That's the interesting.
I even do it. I sometimes take a snippet. I did it with the New Earth's video.
I'm not being critical of you, Arwin. I mean, if I said this statement, for example, Math Powerland was the first, that sums it all up, right? So where in the past people have said, let's take Validation Boy as an example. That's my idea. You've stolen my idea that I put forward, and you're not crediting me. It's like, that's not what these guys are interested in. They're interested in putting their point across in a more coherent way, and it happens to be that Martin Leak has put that point forward really concisely. So they chunk out Martin's bit and say, there you go, there's 30 seconds of Martin saying what I could say, but it's better to have someone else saying it in a more consistent way than I can. So that's what they've done. And Martin's not turning around going, you've nicked my point. Or the converse is Conspiracies Are Us made a point that was directly taken from Martin. And I didn't actually credit Martin, and I said to him, well, does that annoy you? In the mindset of the kind of flat earth mentality that we see, where people will say, you're stealing my ideas, you're stealing my concept, which is totally benign. Anyway, and he said, no, it doesn't fuss me in the slightest, because we're all kind of, backing each other and saying the same thing in a different way. That particular instance was about the workhouses and orphanages, and someone else had basically added to it from maybe a sentence or two that Martin had covered with a few photographs, and then the guy had done a whole video on it and expanded on the point. It's like, that's how it should be.
Yeah.
Have you got Arwen? There's a book here that I've had for years. It is Fomenko's Fourth, And in that, there's a hell of a lot of stuff that really does. There's YouTube videos coming out with narration of it and stuff, and translations from some of the flamenco things. But like I said, the narrative I think is pretty much there. I don't think necessarily the story. It's the level of detail that's building around and giving strength to the work that's already there. I think that is amazing. Like Martin's work.
You mean the preparation and anticipation work on the workings of the mind and cultural movement kind of thing, like the overlords did in the industrialization, making that super long-term plan and all.
I think what Martin's doing is not so deep. I think at the moment it's highlighting again the inconsistencies between the historical narrative and the reality of some of the data we've got and the historical texts.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then in showing some of those details, like in some of the lead atlases and stuff, all the strange pictures, which are clearly painting a very different reality to the one that we are supposed to have had. If you saw, and I think he's putting a lot of detail around the narrative that's already built there, but actually starting to show you visually as well that things do make sense within the narrative. Because if you read flamenco's work, it's very hard to grasp this stuff. One's come out today. I was saying about like explaining why the Kremlin is Jerusalem and how the texts marry up with, I can't remember which book it is, but you know, there's all sorts of really, and if you go through one of the later books in the New Testament that was added, it goes through a description of the gates of Jerusalem, and they do match up with the gates in the Kremlin. And a lot of the presupposition is that a lot of the Bible is ancient Russian or Tartarian history. The same with a lot of British history is rewritten.
Wow.
Like that. So
it's fascinating. That is
what channel is this?
I wouldn't exclude the possibility. At least I've pondered on that as a possibility just on my own volition, just thinking about it, because I do think that there is something to the whole Israel and Babylon thing, and I think it's been historically literalized in a way where it's not always been like that. It's more like an archetypal societal setup kind of schematic, and that in this age the Babylon and the Israel may be, well, other locations. That's been partly my interpretation. And well, yeah, one could argue from that perspective that indeed Moscow currently is Israel, and yeah, what's going to be Babylon? Well, it's not hard to guess.
Within all, part of the restructuring of history was to jumble place names, I think, such as Rome. Rome's an easy one that was constant. You know, even the mainstream narrative has Constantinople, Istanbul also as a primary Rome. Do you know what I mean? And part of the mixing of history, I think, is renaming of places. And
well, how about the Roman Empire?
I think one of the key factors was changing the prime meridian from Giza in Egypt to London. I don't know why they did that, but why would you change the prime meridian? What would be in it for anybody to change it?
Scribble that down, and without spoiling it, ask Martin Leaker that question, exactly that question, Adam. Why would they change the prime meridian from Giza to here? See what he says.
What is the answer?
I'm not telling you. You'll have to watch Martin's interview. Oh no, you've interviewed him already, haven't you? It's not.
I've already done it. I've already done it.
It's a premiere, isn't it? My bad. I thought it was live. Sorry.
No, it is the replay of the thing you showed me. I think me and Martin are not too dissimilar. Like I say, it's a good bit of fun where you can have all sorts of conjecture, but I think a solid truth's emerging, that of a of a reset, and we're starting to see now how it was done with regards to these foundlings. And
But what is a reset? Every time I hear that word, like, isn't it just basically a conspiracy to transform the known history and knowledge at a certain point, and then playing into wide wishes of the powers that be at the time? Isn't that what it is, or is it really like a dimensional reset and everybody snaps out of the regular timeline and it is decided among one another what's going to be the next setting? How do you want to interpret that, a reset?
And then plug the channel. Can you spell it for people that are not subscribed to him?
I was asking.
Say that again, Jose.
Dude, can you hear
No,
me?
After
Can
Arwin's
anybody hear
question-
me?
After Arwin's questions is answered, then plug the channel of Martin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we hear you, Arwin.
Okay. So, what kind of reset are you referring to?
I think you're just talking a physical. I don't think you're talking a spiritual upgrading or anything like that. I don't think it's anything spiritual. I think it's totally just Machiavellian acts on the earth, and that's what's happening.
Right.
This is acts of
Conspiracy.
war again.
Conspiracy to rewrite history and get
Nobody
more
has a
convenient
definitive
to the
answer
current
to your
powers
question,
that be.
Arwin.
That.
Nobody's got a definitive answer.
No.
But that's a more clear, well worked out, rounded picture of what actually happens.
Well,
You
people are
approach
just
it like
exposing the holes in
What's
the
your
current
source
narrative.
material for that?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, you're making claims and statements, but what's the source for all that?
Yeah, that's
There isn't a
complex.
source, is there? There's, as we,
Was-
like I said, I would say the main brunt of the argument, which uses a lot of, is using Fomenko's work, okay, and the postulations in there, which is that history is completely rewritten, and that it's an additional 1,000 years has been created by repetition of history, stories from one part of Europe of the same events being rewritten and given a separate timeline. It's very complicated. Like I said, that was volume 4 that I showed of, like, I don't know how many it is now. But I mean, so to try and say what source it is hard. But what we're talking about with Martin's stuff is uncovering of pictures, photographs which support this narrative from multiple sources. So
And show the discrepancies.
Yeah. I think.
Hey, can you tell me what the Martin chap's last name is? I'm having a hard time finding it.
Liedtke. L-I-E-T.
No, L-I-E-D-T-K-E.
Oh shit. Sorry, yeah, D-T.
L-I-E-D-T-K-E. Liedtke.
Yeah, I always remember it lied. I always remember like lied because I don't know. It's a weird name to try to remember. So I always lied. TKE.
It sounds kind of Dutch. That's the funny thing. We pronounce lied, L-I-E-D, exactly like that in Dutch. Lied.
Yeah, well, Gaelic.
So it's almost
Gaelic,
Dutch pronounced.
Welsh sounds very similar.
So wait, Nathan, say how it's supposed to be said.
Liedtke.
Liedtke. Okay, gotcha.
See, silence of belief.
The reason I was asking about the source is, to say they've changed history, that means they would have to change it across all continents, all languages, all people groups.
It's bigger
Changing
than
history
that.
is mostly erasing it and then leaving it open, and then maybe at some point introducing new storylines if that is deemed possible.
Owen, could I just address that? That would imply a much smaller conspiracy. What's being postulated is not just the rewriting of history, but the complete eradication from historical memory of the greatest civilization
yeah,
there was, and
erasing.
It's a much bigger claim than that, I would suggest.
Well, I mean, I would.
A world empire that had incredible heights. Yeah, if you're going to cover that up, you're going to have to go to worldly lengths. That's only logical. But it is basically just the erasing of the history of the entire element of it.
Well, I don't doubt that there's been information that has been lost, and I don't have a problem with that at all. But just to say that, I mean, to say they've erased it.
How about giant skeletons?
Oh no, I know what you're saying. I'm not saying that there's not things that are covered up or I mean, I think a lot of the ancient architecture, like, you know, in South America and the pyramids, all this could probably, I would look at it from an antediluvian civilization, you know. So I think, and that information of that has been pretty much, we have no history of it, but it looks like it's from that period. So I don't doubt that. But
technological knowledge was erased because the knowledge at the time was in the hands of a few craftsmen, like the specialists. They had assistants, but the specialists kept it to themselves because that was their knowledge, that was their power. So they just took them all out, and then the knowledge was lost.
History was
Very
first constructed in the 1500s. It's clear it was a request by, and it's done by Scaliger. He's the one that pulls all this bits of data together to build a timeline, which is vehemently opposed, but is, again, like many things, kind of repeated and then accepted. That's fact. You know, there is nothing prior to that date that isn't a copy or of some questionable origin, but the point that history was put together was during this primary reset period, as we call it, and this antediluvian stuff it's postulated, being at the moment, that it may well be a lot nearer. Maybe the mud floods is a remnant of Noah's flood. Maybe it isn't. I don't know. Maybe it's sonic weaponry that liquefies soil through acoustics. There's no known thing. It's just fun to guess. But what you can see is that there's a clear contradiction with the narrative we're given.
Not in all instances. So, for instance, there's I can't remember if it was a Canadian town that some guy was showing on the local news. They're quite open about the fact that the town has got it documented that they raised the street level. So there was some event that happened. Again, they didn't give the narrative. Sometimes they say it's because of sanitation or whatever reason they give. But in this instance, it was documented. And they abandoned a level and went up one. And then they showed underneath the town all of the old streets and all of the buildings that were filled with mud that they'd basically abandoned. And a lot of them were now, you know, laden with pipes and various other things. But ultimately speaking, this is the case in many places. It's just not part of the narrative. It's not part of the known world. It's just basically hidden.
Crazy if you think about it.
I love going to Martin's videos because it's almost like going to school. There's so much information in those videos. It's like I don't even know where I am half the time. Awesome.
You just got to wade through the speculation, though. You know, there's some good information in there, but as Adam says, it's fun to speculate, and often they do. I mean, I'm not criticising them. I said before, I admire people like Arwin for their imagination. I have got an imagination, but in this instance, with Flat Earth at least, I think it's best to focus on what they've told us and where it's wrong, as opposed to their motivations or what it could be, because that doesn't win you any arguments. You just get, as Anthony said to you, Arwin, if you start making assertions, people are going to start demanding that you prove them. So yeah, liquefaction, nice idea. Might be a directed energy weapon heating up the world. It might be us all using Antiquitech to draw electricity from the sky, which has caused an imbalance and suddenly the ground has raised up. Yeah, fascinating. Total bollocks, no proof of any of it. What we can see for certain is that in some instances, part of the narrative as well, the ground has risen up. And you can see it all around you. In my town, half the bloody town's covered in mud. When you start actually opening your eyes, I'd never noticed it before. I'd like to credit myself for being a fairly observant person. And while I recognised that there were basement levels that had dug out moats, it never really occurred to me. Why the hell would anybody go to the extent of digging out hundreds of tons of extra soil to only then dig out even more soil to lay a foundation, only to then fill it in and put windows that are looking at soil? That makes no architectural sense whatsoever. Yet half my town's like it. And then you find out half the bloody world's like it. And in some instances, in places that's only got a 200 or 300 year history. And you're like, why have you got these massive, enormous, really posh mansions? They shouldn't be there. Why is that town covered in mud? That predates your own history in places like Australia. You're like, this ain't making much sense. Obviously, the history that we're given isn't true. That much is clear. But to speculate about what it could be, that to me is where these people will leave themselves open to ridicule.
I agree.
Even the logical conclusions that you can draw from some of the stuff, that there clearly was some type of electricity used. Whether it was free energy or whatever, there were electrical devices, and there's evidence for that. So this predates the narrative we're given, and that's as evidenced as I would say, Nathan. You know what these devices did, why we see refitting or removal of these devices through time, why there's photographic evidence of there being lighting in places when it shouldn't have existed. All these things, why there are some strange exhibits of amazing lighting things that shouldn't have existed at the time, and all the kind of strange,
like picture messaging, like wireless picture messaging in the 1800s, for example.
Well, I wouldn't go, I say, to that any levels. I'd say basic lighting. Basic contradictions.
No. This is something that I've just recently discovered. So apparently the information for this is starting to come out of the vaults of wherever because of a timeline that has now been exceeded. But fax machines. Wouldn't think it was a particularly interesting subject, coincidentally being talked about by Alan at the moment, but I think that's just a coincidence. But did you know that fax machines go back to the 1800s and they could do it wirelessly? So they could transmit wirelessly a photographic image of a text or a picture of something back in the 1800s. Did you know they could do that?
I've not heard that one.
Right, I'll send you the video of this guy going through the currently released. It's literally in the recent years that they've released this information. I'll send it to you. You'll be absolutely blown away. My jaw was on the floor while I was watching this guy go through it, and you know. Things like a newspaper being faxed to kids in the early 20s, I think it was. Got a photograph of a newspaper literally being printed out the side of a radio. And you're like, what? That's absolutely mad. I didn't know that was possible.
Nathan, where are you sharing that? I'd like to see that. Can you
I'll see if I
in
can
the
get it now.
Hangout chat?
Arwen, is Arwen gone?
No, I'm still here.
While I'm digging it out, hold on. Did my wife just go? Oh, hello. I didn't see you come out. I was totally engaged in this conversation. Hello. While I'm digging it out, Arwen, this is now tomorrow. When this goes out on Nathan Oakley 1980, the time will now be... let me get it right. Let's just look at the timestamp. 1 hour 43. So it'll now be about 1:45, 1:00 with UK time, which is when your early bird starts. So while I'm digging out that video... You might as well plug your show again because it starts in 1/4 of an hour from when this gets released on Nathan Oakley 1980. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure. All right. Well, here I am once again. If you're watching this now for the first time on Nathan's channel, after this show ends, you can go to my channel, Arwin, ARWIJN. And the early bird show will start, number 43. And yeah, I hope I'm not late. Probably not. Yeah, go and watch it. It'll be fun. And if you want to join it, if you think hey, I want to participate, then contact me on Skype. The link is in the description box of every single Flat Earth Early Bird video I've done, so you can find it there. Contact me and we'll have a talk. And I may invite you on my show. So, I hope to see you there. Flat Earth Early Bird.
Okay, I think I found the channel. I think this is right. It's a long channel name. Flat Earth Nation de Elora Plateteria.
What?
Yeah, I'm not repeating it.
I'll have a look at that. That sounds cool. I've seen obviously all the stuff about
I'm on his channel. I'm
electric
just
cars
looking
and
for
that.
it. He's got. I thought he'd have like 10 videos. He's got about a squillion, so it's going to be a bit of a find it. But I'll do my damnedest. I will.
I think he's in my list actually, Nathan. So I know which one you mean. Without trying to pronounce it myself.
It's going to really bug me if I can't find it now. I will find it. I'm determined.
Right, I'm going to do one anyway, I think, guys. Hey, to all of you guys for the kind shout-outs, thanks. And like I said, I'll probably try and pester you all tomorrow for our Christmas show. But take it easy, guys.
All right, see you later.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Good on, mate. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Come again. I'm out of here. Thank you, guys. I appreciate the chat. Always nice to be here with you.
Luego, Jose.
Tomorrow.
Joselito, later, man.
Everyone's signing out before I'm going to get an opportunity to find this video. Oh well. Just the way the cookie crumbles. Right, so I should really sign out and say a massive, enormous, huge thank you to all of the Nathan Oakley 1980 audience, if I could say it, for tuning into this premiere and hopefully sharing the show. Also, a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this after show possible. Once again, I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video. Oh, one more thing. In about a quarter of an hour, Arwin's Early Bird will be starting, and in about an hour's time, the Flat Earth debate will go live on my second channel, which is Nathan Oakley. So click the link in the info box below this video and go and subscribe to my second channel if you'd like to watch the show live or participate in the debate. See you in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!